So last week we started the Good Fight series. And last week we talked about help versus isolation. This week, on Mother's Day, we'd like to talk about hope versus despair. Hope versus despair. We want to encourage you to turn to John chapter 5. There should be a Bible in front of you, and we're looking at the NIV version. We're going to read two verses together, although this sermon comes from more than just these two verses. But as we talk about hope versus despair, we want to look at John chapter 5, specifically verses 5 and 6. If you see it, would you say amen? Amen. Let's read that together. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" Amen. Thank you so much. Hope versus despair. It is not my intention to disparage men, and Father's Day is coming, but this is Mother's Day. And I cannot think of a person who personifies hope more than Mom. When we find ourselves in despair, no matter how we got there, Mom represents hope. If you've ever been sick, I'm not saying specifically that Dad couldn't care less. I'm not saying that. I am saying in general, Mom is there not only to help you through that sickness, but to give hope. I'm not trying to put anybody in prison. But the likelihood of continued care from men, from Dad, from friends, it's kind of low. But in general, there is one somebody who never gives up, even when we've given up on everything we've been taught. And that's Mom. And that's hope. Listen, even if your mom was the worst of the worst, and every Mother's Day you struggle because you watch others celebrate how awesome Mom was. You watch others celebrate how kind Mom was, how much Mom looked out for you, how much Mom was there to cook the meals, how much Mom was there to love when no one else would love and to give hope. One thing is clear and true. Even if your mom had her own struggles, which created struggles for you, this is true. Mom put her life on the line to bring every one of us into this world. Just the act of giving birth is an act of hope. So when we find ourselves dealing with this battle, I encourage us to fight a good fight in the hope versus despair battle. As we look at John chapter 5 and we consider a man who was asked by Jesus, "Do you want to be made well?" I want us to consider on this Mother's Day the hope mom has to offer and the hope that Jesus offered this man so that we can walk out of here, no matter what we have faced that could have led us to despair, but instead have hope. Do you want to be made well? Number one, hope heals, while despair diseases. The word disease is dis-ease. So this man was discouraged. This man was disabled. Can you imagine having a disabling disease for 38 years? And then here he is in this place watching others be healed. He's watching others be delivered right in front of his eyes. And that's got to make the situation even worse. Again, I'm not trying to put anybody in prison, but you watch someone else get paroled. You watch someone else have their case dismissed, and yet here you are stuck in a situation you can't seem to get yourself out of. This man for 38 years was disabled. If you spend a little bit too much time in the hospital, a lot of those good caregivers go by the wayside. If you spend yourself sick just a little bit too long, if you find yourself depressed or sad or disappointed or hurt just a little too long, there's only so many vent sessions your friends want to hear. And then they're ready to kick you to the curb. There's only so much someone wants to financially invest in you before they walk away and leave you in despair. This man for 38 years was stuck, was discouraged, was disabled, and was diseased. Well, thankfully, hope heals. But if we're not careful, then like this man, when we're presented an opportunity, we'll only see obstacles. We won't see where we could go with the hope that can help us. And instead, all we see is despair and obstacles. God gave this man an opportunity through Jesus after 38 years of difficulty, distress, disease, and disability. And even though he only saw obstacles, he was presented an opportunity. So I want us to be reminded that hope heals. No matter what you're going through, hope heals. No matter what you're facing, hope heals. Do you want to be made well? Have hope in the healing power of God. And secondly, not only does hope heal, hope hears, while despair dismisses. This man didn't really even understand the question he was asked. Do you want to be made well? Because his response didn't really deal with the question. But despite a failed response, he was heard. Jesus heard him. That's just like mom. When dad's not paying any attention, and dad can't hear what you're talking about, mom hears you even when you're not talking right, even when you don't say it well, even when you can't express yourself properly. Mom can hear the need, and hope hears the need because hope hears. Even when we can't say it right, even when we can't spit it out and express it well. This man was presented options when all he had been feeling was his ouch. That's where we are so often in life. We just feel the ouch. We feel the despair because we feel the pain, we feel the hurt, we feel what is so difficult to deal with. We feel the ouch. And you know what? You can't even always see when someone else is going through an ouch because all ouches are not on the outside. There's some ouches on the inside that we can't even properly express, but thankfully, hope hears those too. No matter what ouch you've got going on, a physical pain, a physiological pain, no matter what makes you feel that ouch, hope hears. Thankfully, Jesus was able to hear this man, despite the fact he didn't give a clear response. Despite the fact he seemed to misunderstand the question, do you want to be made well? He started making excuses as to why he wasn't being made well. And we do it all the time, and we start making excuses. That's not what was even asked. But hope hears. So not only does hope heal, but hope hears. And finally, hope helps, while despair discusses. These Jewish leaders in John chapter 5, they just complained about what day this great deed was done, because it was done on the Sabbath. You do know hospitals are open 7 days a week because you never know when you're going to feel an ouch. You never know when you're going to need the emergency room. You never know when you're going to need that help. You're going to need that hope. And so hospitals are always open. And yet these Jewish leaders, they complained about the healing because of when it took place. And that's what happens all the time. Despair just discusses. Despair gives lip service. Despair talks about a situation and doesn't do anything about it. So when you have those people that call themselves friends, those people that call themselves family members acting like they care, but all they want to do is discuss what needs to be done, but they don't want to do anything. They don't want to be there for you. They don't want to help out. They don't want to show up. They don't want to truly care because they are agents of despair. Because all despair does is just discuss. That's what gossip is. It's disgusting and discussing what gives despair and disease. It's sad when we just talk about it and won't be about it. But hope helps. Jesus was not so concerned with what the Jewish leaders said or what day of the week it was. He helped anyway. Hope heals, hope hears, and hope helps. Others were oblivious to what this man overcame. Brothers and sisters, as children of God, we're overcomers. We're able to overcome all the difficulties that's thrown our way because we don't live in despair. This man overcame. His outcome ended up better because he was blessed. And he ended up with a new outlook. And that's what mom can give us. That's what hope can give us. The ability to understand we don't have to stay in despair. Hope can heal us. Hope can hear us. And hope can help us. Jesus did absolutely everything on the cross to take us from a place of despair, even though he died. even though he was buried and stayed in the grave, then it seemed like despair had won. When the sky refused to show sunlight, the S-U-N refused to shine because the S-O-N had died. But thankfully on the third day, with all power, heaven and earth, hope got up again. And now we can have hope eternal through our love by Jesus Christ. The biggest difference between hope and despair is mom. Mom. Not only was she a person, mom is an acronym. Mom, meet others in the moment. I encourage us all to be like mom and meet others in the moment. If they find themselves in despair, be like mom, meet others in the moment. Be willing to be someone who heals. Be willing to be someone who hears. And be willing to be someone who helps.